as much as they talk about NIL, like one of Brad Stevens' motivations for leaving was he didn't want to deal with AAU and Nike and Adidas and those, like, college coaches complained a lot before NIL. It's the whole idea.
They have always
complained.
Yeah.
It is in the DNA of coaches to complain, to blame others, to make excuses, and to woe is me. And so there was a lot of reasons why coaches wanted to get to the NBA, is to get away from all this stuff. Like, I have to, I should be on vacation with my kids, and instead I have to return a phone call from an assistant JUCO coach somewhere because he might have a player next year, or all that stuff. So it's never been good in college athletics. And the nature of paying and compensating players have driven lots of good people out of college athletics. I remember talking to a guy who was a scout. He used to be this college assistant, later became a scout, and then a fairly high in an organization. And he talked about how much relief he had when he had gotten out of college athletics, because he no longer had to break rules or risk this or go in. It just was so good. So the NIL is certainly part of what's challenging people, but there's always been a challenge. What I liked about Hurley is he doesn't like it. He doesn't like the transfer portal, but he said, I'm not going to get up in my feelings. He just exploited it.
Yeah.
And for UConn basketball, the fact that Nike and Adidas can't control all the talent anymore, that you can build an elite program and talent without the blessing of a multinational corporation stocking your roster, is a huge advantage. UConn has a Nike deal, but they've never been the favored nation in recruiting. Never were the one that...
It's really one of the most amazing things about their dynasty.
No. They were never the one that Nike was just throwing all the players to. They were just a Nike school, and they've won and won and won anyway. And so blue blood doesn't matter as much. UConn has won more than these blue bloods lately, but they're still the nouveau rich, I guess. I don't know. I don't really understand the whole blue blood doesn't whatever, man. And it's not 2015. It's not 2005 where these kingmakers are just going to send the players wherever you want. Whether it was the FBI scandal or NIL or the transfer portal, you build a team differently, and you're seeing all these different teams now make the Final Four. All these other teams become little, it doesn't mean they're sisters of the poor, but you do see FAU and things like that. But like Alabama's got a heck of a basketball program all of a sudden. Purdue, all these different ones. So it's a different thing. So I kind of feel like Dan Hurley and then his coaching, he took NIL and flipped it. Everyone's scared of the portal. You hear some of these coaches, I can't coach the team anymore by transfer. This quote, we talked about this quote before, but Dan Hurley talking about the NIL, he said this in April, the last 2 years since NIL started, I've coached my teams harder than I've ever coached any teams, just because of everything these guys now have at their disposal. The resources there at the University of Connecticut and programs now invest in these players is not for their attendance. It's not to just be on campus. It's to produce and to produce winning. The way we travel, the residents, the full service dining we have in our $40 million practice facility, the NIL opportunities. He demands a return on the investment from the players. And if they leave after a year because they don't like that demand or it doesn't work, well, it's not seemed to be a problem the last couple of years. I found that to be fascinating, that he actually goes harder.
Absolutely. Yeah. And very candid. I think there's probably a lot of coaches who think that, but not many of them have said it out loud. That, okay, basically you're being paid to play now, so we're upping the demands on you. So it's an interesting, probably really honest stance that other people are adopting to a degree as well, but he's making it work, that's for sure. And he said it out loud.
Well, it's just going to increase too, right? I mean, the next phase of this, direct pay from schools and all that. I mean, and in the next phase, maybe in a straight employment model of some sort, like at the highest level of college basketball and college football, college athletes are going to be viewed differently starting next year, and maybe already, like Dan Hurley has alluded to, are viewed differently right now in the NIL era. I mean, they are paid, whether you say it's for an appearance to sign autographs or a tweet or two. If you say that, that's fine, but they're paid to play. That's what it is. It's paid to perform. So in many aspects, they are kind of professional. They just have to go to school as well.
They would say, well, it's like a full-time job being a college athlete, and it is. Now it's a full-time job. It's hundreds, at the Connecticut level, hundreds of thousands of dollars for everybody, and could be more. So what I've liked about Dan Hurley, besides like it's nice to have a character. I mean, someone's going to win the national title, whether he's the coach or not. It's like the sport was going to shut down. But I like that he just was like, well, this is how we're going to do things. And it hasn't been this full on, you can't do it. You can't coach a team anymore. You can't. So, oh boy. This is working for him. And, he doesn't need to run off to the Lakers or anything like that. He had the best opportunity that someone's had. I don't know Lakers situation right now might not be perfectly ideal, but it's the Lakers. But he certainly had the best chance since Brad Stevens got the Celtics job. This isn't like he's just turned down the, Hornets or something. He's just going to do it for the money or whatever. So I really like it. It's great for the Big East, which is a basketball first league. And I like that UConn this is not a Big Two, let alone a power two or power four school. And he's not saying I got to get to the Big Ten or I got to get to the SEC. I can't win here at UConn. He's a son of a high school coach. He was a high school coach. You make do with what you have. He was a tough as nails player when he was a high school player and at Seton Hall. He was a high school coach 15 years ago in Newark, Wagner, Rhode Island. He's not focused on what he doesn't have. He's focused on what he does. And as someone who's just kind of tired of the whining and woe is us, I love it.